Hey, Christchurch, North Coast. I'm here with Vanessa. Vanessa, why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure, so I think most of you know me. My name is Vanessa Comley. I am a pediatrician, by no means an expert in adult medicine, but you are well read during these times.
Cool. Then why don't you just give us some helpful hints for this coronavirus period?
Yeah, so I think the universal message is really that we are in a pandemic, we know that, so we need to take it seriously, but we also don't want to over-respond. So the biggest thing that we can do is social distancing as much as possible. So make sure we are sanitizing, make sure we're washing hands, avoid large crowds. We know that we have an elderly population here in Ballito, so we really do need to do our best to protect them as far as possible. While SARS-CoV-2, while it could infect absolutely anyone across any age group, we know that certain populations will have more severe symptoms. So we have a public health responsibility to contain the spread as much as possible. So I think in order to sort of flatten the curve and not place a major burden on the healthcare system and spread disease, we do need to make sure we're not hugging, kissing, shaking hands. The elbow shake's a great one. and avoid crowds as best as we can.
Cool. Van, just explain what flattening the curve means for those of us who might not understand that language.
So I think it's quite a buzzword at the moment.
Yeah.
Social distancing and flattening the curve, it's trending. So I'm sure you would have all seen those curves where you get two sort of overlapping curves, one with a big high rapid rise and then one with a more slower gradual rise. So what we want to do is prevent what's happened throughout other parts of the world and not have that big rapid rise. What that big rapid rise does is it creates a massive burden on the healthcare system, which we're then unable to cope with, and the disease spreads more rapidly.
Okay.
So by sort of flattening the curve, we may have just as many cases, but over a longer period of time, allowing appropriate resources, allowing appropriate responses, and the ability for the healthcare system to cope with the load.
And then I think generally you get people who fall into one of two camps. You know, people who really want to build a bunker at home and not see anyone for a year and stock up on rice. And then you get those who want to go out there and really be helpful. And what would you say to both those sort of camps?
Yeah, so I think over panicking causes more of a problem. The biggest thing it does is it takes resources away from where resources are needed.
Yeah.
So if you go out and buy every surgical mask in the country, it means that healthcare workers won't have surgical masks, and that would actually enable the spread of the disease more.
Yeah.
So the resources must be where they're appropriate. So just be sensible, take precautions when you are going out. I think we've been given very clear, good guidelines by the President and government. So yeah, non-essential travel, etc. I think we must be very mindful of it.
Cool. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Anything else to add?
Yeah, so just one thing, if you do suspect you may have SARS-CoV-2, or if you develop flu-like symptoms, you're not sure what to do, you're panicking, I think the guidelines as they stand are quite clear. I think we must remember that the disease is progressing a lot, and every day we're learning a little bit more about it, so the guidelines will change a lot with time in the coming days, weeks, etc. For now, we have quite strict case definitions, so you'll see that if you were concerned, the first thing I want you to do, please, is phone the NICD hotline. Do not just present to a doctor's rooms, do not just present for the lab to testing, because you can't actually just walk in the lab and order testing. You have to be screened accordingly, and it has to go through a healthcare professional.
Sure.
So if you have the big keys at the moment are travel history, so if you've been out the country within the last 21 days, obviously there are hotspots which put you at higher risk, but we're learning that with travel and airports, even the lowest countries do still put you at risk. If you've been in contact with somebody who's a confirmed or suspected case, that would put you at risk. And then obviously if you develop flu-like symptoms, body pain, fever, coughing, sniffles, etc., please phone the NICD hotline immediately. They will give you guidance. Sure. They will either tell you, look, it's fine, you actually don't have any symptoms, although you're at risk, we suggest you stay isolated, or we suggest you live life, carry on as usual. If they feel you need testing, they will decide, should someone come to you to be tested, or should you go to a designated healthcare? Okay. So it's very important. We don't want to spread the disease further by you walking into a healthcare system. If you need to see a doctor for whatever reason, please always phone ahead in advance. If they know that you are at risk, they will not refuse to see you, but they will send you to the correct place. So we just want to channel everyone to the right place, that we stop the spread. If you need to be admitted, we have designated areas and designated hospitals for patients who require admission. But the key is stay home as much as possible, phone the NICD hotline if you're sick or if you think you're at risk. And if you want good information, please seek it in the right place.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. A lot of fake news going around.
Sorry, one last thing. Please feel free to check out the NICD website. It's the National Institute of Communicable Diseases. Look at the WHO website, and also the Department of Health has put a beautiful little WhatsApp. It's not a group per se, but it's a WhatsApp number that's got a nice menu that you can scroll down and get all the latest information to keep safe.
Cool. Thanks, man.